I want to talk to the people who are newly working at home and are just about to lose their marbles because these kids don't listen. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Levener, and this is a space for inspired living where we talk about wealth, wellness, and wholeness. All the tools you'll need to create a life you love. In this episode, we're going to be talking about some tips for those who are working from home, and especially those who are working from home with kids. Now, unless you've been living under a rock somewhere, you know that we are all dealing with this unprecedented pandemic that's taken over the whole world, COVID-19. And it is not only a scary and unsettling time, but it is also a time that has kind of shifted all of our lives into overdrive for some and into like a very uncomfortable underdrive for others. I'm sort of like an introverted personality, at least I consider myself that. So I'm coping pretty well. I've been working at home for the last 5 or 6 years, so I'm pretty comfortable with just the whole transition there. But I know that a lot of my extroverted folks out there are struggling, and a lot of you are newly working from home. This is not something that you have a lot of experience with. And then on top of this, you have to be homeschooling your kids, and it's just a lot. So I wanted to lend some of my tips and some of my experience and see if I could be of help to you, because we're all trying to navigate this new world that we woke up to one day and just trying to make it all work for ourselves. And I think it's a wonderful opportunity for us to get into the mindset of ownership and to look into options for entrepreneurial ideas and side hustles and things that will help us to establish multiple streams of income, because you just never know from one day to the next what's going to happen. Life is so unpredictable. Situations come up all the time that just switch our lives into completely different spheres than what they were. It's really important to be able to pivot and to be adaptable to our situations, whether good, bad, or ugly, and just to be able to make the best of our circumstances. And I definitely understand that a lot of these concepts are easier said than done, and a lot of it seems very sort of idealistic. However, the reality is that life is always changing. You just never know when someone is going to get sick, when you're going to lose your job, when you're going to be in a situation where you just need to figure some stuff out. So I believe that it's always important to have a plan and always be prepared for things to go completely differently than what you planned. And so here we are. We're dealing with this unprecedented pandemic, this huge halt that has happened to all of our lives. 3.3 million people so far in the United States have applied for unemployment because so many people have lost their jobs and their livelihoods. And right now, people are going to have to be dealing with having to pay bills and to meet responsibilities that they're not equipped for, because unfortunately there are so many people in this country that live paycheck to paycheck, and there are so many people that depend on their jobs in order to survive day to day. And I want to empower other people just to be able to develop multiple income streams, to put yourself in a position that if something falls through, you have something else to fall back on. And if things don't all go the way that you want it to go in one instance, you have options. I'm a strong believer that freedom is the ability to choose. If you're in any situation where you don't have a choice, you are not free. But I'm here to inspire you to open up your mind to the possibility that you can have options. So for those of us who have been able to keep our jobs, thank the Lord, we are now in circumstances where we are forced to all work from home. I've been working from home for the last 4 or 5 years or so, and I have found it very rewarding and helpful for me personally. As a person that is sort of an introvert, I thrive on having time for myself and being able to regroup and readjust and refocus. I'm able to get a lot done when I just have some quiet time and I'm able to not have any distractions. However, I do have two toddlers. I have a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old, and you can only imagine what my house is like. There are just so many things to do. There's constant activity. There's just so much life in here, and trying to balance a business, trying to stay focused on my work and to take care of myself and to be a wife and a mom, a lot of times it can become sort of overwhelming. But over the years, I have learned a few tricks on how to manage my time and how to work from home in a way that allows me to be productive and not to be burned out and overwhelmed. And I hope that these tips can also help you out. First of all, I think that the secret to success is your mindset. It's the ability to retrain your mind over and over and again to meet the circumstances in which you find yourself and to find the opportunity in those circumstances. Because things happen in life, and sometimes devastating and depressing and downright just horrible things happen, and they shake our lives up in ways that are often detrimental to our mental health and often our physical health. Circumstances like these can leave us crippled at times because you just don't know what to do, or you are forced to handle things that you're just not prepared for. But I think that if we learn how to set our minds to focus in on what we want to do, when we make up our minds that we're going to get it done regardless of the circumstances, regardless of the obstacles, we're going to push through and we're going to get it done. That makes a huge difference, because that gives you the drive to go ahead and plan your time and plan your priorities and figure out what is necessary in order for you to be successful in whatever it is that you are pursuing. So my first tip is really focus on your mindset in the midst of the situation and try to get yourself to come back to a positive place, because I know we're human. We drift. We may start out good. We may be having a good day, and then something will happen and will just completely throw us off, and that will shift our minds to negative thinking and this feeling that you can't do it, or the feeling that it's just too much, or you're overwhelmed, or whatever comes about. So first of all, just really pay attention to your mindset, because your mind is going to trump your feelings. It's going to trump whatever physical situation that you're in, unless it's just like exorbitant. But your mind is going to bring back the focus to where it's supposed to be. And that, my friends, is super, super important. If you get nothing else, I want you to really focus on what you're feeding your mind and what you're telling yourself, and the mindset that you're putting, the mind frame that you're putting yourself in, because that is going to either help you to be successful or it's gonna cause you to crash and burn. So right now, for individual entrepreneurs, the big thing is adaptability and learning to pivot with the circumstances that you're facing. That is a whole other ball game. When you're a business owner, when you are someone that is self-employed, your complete function of existence rests on you. And so Right now, you have the ability to transition your company or your business over to remote, if that's even possible. You have the ability to produce new products and services that may not necessarily be effective right now because everybody is like unemployed and everybody is at home, but you may be able to plan your next step. And you have the ability also now to just think of new ways to do things. And that is definitely one win out of this situation. And I understand that that may not work for everyone, but I think that's something to definitely put into your mind if you're feeling stuck and if you're feeling sort of anxious, as anxiety is expected to come with this situation. Now, I want to talk to the people who are newly working at home and are just about to lose their marbles, because these kids don't listen. So my first piece of advice from working from home is to make sure that you are setting a schedule for yourself. It is so important for you to be able to maximize your time and get the most that you can get out of each day. It's really about developing a structure that is going to help you to be the most productive. Because I can tell you that my experience with having people who work from home and being a person who works from home is that results are what is really going to matter. You're not in an office setting where someone is sitting over your shoulder and able to kind of see if you're busy or not, and you don't really have the leeway to just look busy, which is what happens a lot in those office settings. You really have to produce, and your boss or your manager or whoever, supervisor on the other end, is looking for results. So the more you are able to be productive in this time, the better it is for you. And that puts you in a position to later on, be able to say, I did my best work when I was at home. So it will, down the line, maybe give you an opportunity to ask for a little bit more flexibility with your schedule and with your job. So really make sure that you are setting up a schedule each day so that you can get the most out of your time. Now, how does this work? And how does this work, especially with kids? So what I usually do is I make a list of all the things, the tasks that I want to take care of for the next day, the night before, because it gives me an opportunity to kind of like plan my day, and I can even break it down to hourly. So I have these power hours during the day where I know either my kids are going to be sleeping, or they're going to be having their lunch, or they're going to be doing something that's keeping them occupied for enough time that I'm able to kind of focus on whatever it is that I'm doing. If I have calls, I try to schedule those for the times that they're taking naps or the times that I'm not alone with them. Right now, I've reached a point where I do have help with the kids for most of the time. So a lot of that is not necessarily as important at this point, but for me personally, it's important that I take time and spend with them. And so I still need to be on that sort of strict schedule. So you wake up in the morning, and for some people, like I hear people talk a lot about like make sure you get dressed and make sure you prepare yourself for the day. And I completely agree with that. What I don't necessarily agree with is just this idea that you can't be in your PJs all day, because I can. I do think though that getting yourself prepared for the day is completely important, because you need to wake up. You need to be alert. You need to be prepared. You need to feel good, because when you feel good, you're going to do your best work. For some people, that means you wake up and you're having devotion, you have meditation, you read something or listen to something inspiring and just kind of get your mind right. For some people, it's exercising in the morning or doing yoga, or for some people that is getting some quiet time alone to just get their mind right and get themselves together. I always make it a point to wake up, wash my face, brush my teeth. If I don't take a shower right away all the time, sometimes I'll get the kids ready, get their breakfast made. I try to lay things out the night before. So in this particular situation now when the kids are not going to school, I still try to keep some of those routines. So we get up and we wash our face and brush our teeth, just because I want to teach them good hygiene and good practices, and I kind of want to keep them in a structure. And we have our breakfast in the morning, and for me sometimes I'm so focused on taking care of them that I don't do more than just kind of have a cup of chai tea, because I don't drink coffee, or I don't really do a lot of caffeine, although chai tea is caffeine, but I don't really do like a lot of heavy caffeine like in the coffee. But I try to make sure that they're taken care of and that they're attended to, because a lot of times as a parent what happens is you don't even get to just wake up. Especially when you have small kids, like they run up to the bedroom or into the bedroom and they're jumping in the bed and waking you up. I know my kids, whenever they're up, they feel like you also need to be up. And I don't care if it's 5 in the morning, 4:30 in the morning. They are like, well, mommy, it's morning. The sun is up. And that's just the reality of having children. Your life kind of just revolves around them, and I'm learning to appreciate it because they won't be children forever. So I want to enjoy these times as much as possible. So definitely like make a schedule for yourself. And I when I say make a schedule, I mean down to the T. Like you need to be on it's 5 o'clock. I need to spend 15 minutes doing such and such. And also go into this with the understanding that you have to be flexible with your schedule, because things change, and especially because you have children, things change. And if you have really small children, like children that you have to change diapers for and that can't feed themselves or dress themselves or brush their own teeth and do all that, you're going to have some flexibility. So please be patient with yourself and get into a routine. And once you get into a routine, we all know that children are really good for routines, right? It helps them to have a sense of security and to know that you're in charge, and they know that mommy's got it or daddy's got it. So that's really helpful. So number one is, get that mindset together in the very first place, and get your schedule together. Set your priorities for the next day so that when you do have the time that you've carved out, you're able to take things on and knock them out. And that is going to boost your productivity and just to help you to feel like you're getting stuff done. And when you feel like you're getting stuff done, there's something about that feeling that makes you want to do better and do more and go further. And that's really helpful to just your mind to be able to feel like, okay, I'm doing this. Okay, one more thing. What's the next thing? What I'm going to do? Boom, it's done. Next thing. Boom, it's done. Next thing. And you have to take that approach also with your work and also with how you're dealing with your kids, right? So you know that they have basically the same needs every day. So if you are getting ahead of those things, it's gonna take away from the anxiety of you having to do it. And of course, we all know with children, there always come surprises. So it probably sounds like, yeah, that sounds good, but that's not how it's gonna work out. But trust me, I've been doing this, and all kids are different and all kids have different needs, but this is just something that I think would be helpful. So give it a shot. If it doesn't work for you, we'll revisit. But I definitely think routine, schedule, and prioritizing your day the night before, like prepping for the next day the night before, is going to make a world of difference. And I don't know what time your kids go to bed, but you can get that 1 hour or 2 hours in after they're asleep to just kind of like prep for the next day. And that's going to take a load off of you, because if you have to wake up every morning and just be shuffling and frazzled and trying to figure things out all the time, it's going to be just exhausting, overwhelming, and tiring. And we don't want an exhausted, overwhelmed, or tired person working or taking care of our kids, even if they are you, right? I think we're on the same page. So let's start with the schedule and prioritizing things. So the next thing is get ahead of things. And that pertains both to your work that you're doing for your job and also taking care of your kids. So you know that they're going to have a lot of the same needs every day and a lot of the same concerns and a lot of the same issues. If you can get them on that schedule that we talked about, it will be a lot easier to anticipate their needs, right? Just like being a good employee, it's the same thing with kind of like being a good parent to kids that are home and homeschooling and all of that. Having sort of like a lesson plan, a structure, a game plan for what you're going to be doing that day, super helpful, right? Knowing the things that the kids are struggling with and that they need special attention for and getting ahead of that, that's going to be crucial because you're able to kind of anticipate their needs. And that includes knowing if they're the kind of kid that doesn't need to be working 6, 7, 8 hours a day and they just need those power hours or 2, 3 hours of learning, and then mixing that up with some activity. If you know that your kid gets tired and you want to make sure they take a nap, wear them out with exercise, with taking them outside, with going for a walk, with doing some jumping jacks, helping them, having them exercise with you. Like, make it work. And if you do the same thing every day for a while, you get into sort of like a rhythm. And then I promise you, when it comes time for them to like take a nap or for them to have some downtime, they'll get used to it. And they will start to expect it. And they will start to ask for it. And I'm not saying that this is going to be like foolproof and you're going to get it 100% right every time. But I'm telling you that it takes a lot of the edge off to just know what to expect and to know what you're going to do. Having a plan, for as long as you hear me talk, I'm always going to talk about having a plan and having a strategy in order to be successful. Processes and procedures also work in parenting and in homeschooling while working from home. Trust me. So when I talk about like getting ahead of things as it pertains to work, so having a task list is super helpful because it gives you sort of like a checklist to go through so that you're taking care of things as you go, and you have a sense of what is getting done and what needs to get done and what is outstanding, and you're not always having to like rack your brain and jump through your emails and figure out what's going on. I think good old-fashioned pen and paper is super helpful. You can also utilize some apps or some plugins. I use G Suite. So I know that they have this task list. I forgot what it's called, but it's like a task list that you can put into your email, and you can kind of like slide the emails over to it or like copy and paste things. And it allows you to, when it like reminds you of what needs to be done, and then it allows you to kind of like check it off as you go. And it also, again, like reminds you of stuff that needs to get done. And I find that super helpful. It's kind of like a little personal assistant app thing. And then you also have this thing on Gmail called Boomerang. And what Boomerang does is it allows you to like schedule your emails. So let's say you need to send something out at a certain point in the day, but you've gotten it done earlier. You can schedule it for it to go out at a certain time. And then you can kind of like knock out like a bunch of stuff and then schedule it for the times and the days when it's like due or when it's appropriate for it to go out. Isn't that cool? Stuff like that, learning little tricks, finding little tools that can help you to be productive. LastPass for your passwords, Asana, or what's the other one? There are all these task management programs that you can use, to Asana or Slack. Slack is the one I was thinking of, that helps you to work with your team and get stuff done. Everybody and their mother right now is using Zoom, the video streaming platform for conferences and meetings. It is amazing and super helpful in helping you to be able to communicate with your colleagues. You can also use Google Hangouts. You can use Skype. Facebook, even Facebook Messenger has like a Skype built into it, but you probably don't want to be talking to your coworkers on Facebook, but I don't want to be in business. So you have options, right? So that will help you to definitely kind of like keep on top of things. It's really important to get ahead of things if you want to feel that, you know, you want to get as much done as possible, and you want to be very productive and not feel like you're spinning your wheels or getting distracted because you're home. Another really important tip is to try to establish sort of like a quiet space in your home that you can work from. And if you have flexibility and you're able to get up early in the morning and get stuff done, or you're able to stay up later in the evening and get stuff done, that will make a huge difference, because you can get those so much done in 2 or 3 hours sometimes that you may not even be able to get done during the 8-hour day. So if the kind of work that you're doing allows for that kind of flexibility, utilize it, because it will help you to be productive and also give you some flexibility to also be able to manage your children from home. One of the things that I do is, so I have a designated space in my house for my work. I have an office space, and I let my kids in there sometimes. I give them like a big, I don't even know what you call it, like a drawing board thing. Like, it's either, sometimes I use like a dry erase board, or I'll use like, my husband made like an easel, but it's like it's like this tall construction paper, I don't know what it's called, but it's like this big, sheet thing that you can draw on. Some people use it for like finger painting, or they use it for teaching. So it's like this huge, I don't even know what size it would be. Let me look at it. So I have the kids in the room, and I use like this. Let me show you. I can show you better than I can tell you, because I don't even know what it's called. It's this, like, let me get it. So it's like this huge, like, this is probably not a good one to show you because I use it already, but it's like this huge, self-stick easel pad. Like this, that's what it says on here. Self-stick easel pad. Let me show you right here. Right? Self-stick easel pad. This one is 25 by 30 inches. Right? And what I use that for, sorry, just dropped that on the floor. So what I use that for is, like, I'll give them either like some sort of assignment, right? And they'll just like write their color, they'll draw on it, and they're like all spread out on the floor. And I'm able to sit in the same room with them, and they're working and I'm working. And a lot of times, you know, they'll come over and like, mommy, I need this, or, you know, mommy, I need a snack, or whatever. But I'm able to be in the same room with them, and they're kind of like engaged in what they're doing. And I'm there to answer questions and to help, but I'm also still able to do my work. And that way I don't have to like tie my kids up to get them to not be so busy. So I think that's a really cool trick that you can use. I also use like a dry erase board and dry erase markers sometimes, but those things have turned into some situations in here with my walls, so I've been delivered from that. So another thing that I use sometimes to help me to have them engage is I'll put on videos, or I'll put on like ABC Mouse or something like that, that is educational, that is in line with their curriculum, that helps to and then after they've like watched one lesson or something like that, I'll take a break and then I'll quiz them on it, go over it with them. But it helps them to be like engaged while I am also working. So those are some of the things that I do. But I definitely would suggest to anyone that is new to this work at home thing to just be very strategic in how you approach it and understand, yes, things are not always going to go the same way. All children don't have the same temperament. All parents don't have the same temperament. And it definitely is not an easy thing. Like, mad props to their teachers. Seriously. But, set your to-do list for the day and just check that thing off as you go. Get the kids engaged. Find fun moments in the day. Turn on some music. Dance with them. Exercise with them. Get them involved in the day so that, one, they're like getting tired and they'll end up taking a nap or something, and so that they enjoy learning. Take this opportunity to teach your kids some of the things that you wish they were learning in school, right? Teach them about balancing a checkbook, or, well, I guess that's not really important this day. Teach them about finances. Teach them about etiquette. Teach them about respect and manners, and teach them about work ethic and entrepreneurship, and teach them about, forming ideas and implementing ideas. Teach them about themselves, about their value, and you have an opportunity now to help and shape their minds even more so than you did before, because you're with them all the time. So that's my encouragement to you. But listen, we're gonna get through this. We can do it. It is actually a gift in some ways to be able to spend this kind of time with our families. And I hope that we're able to be provided for and to be able to provide for our families and to be able to take care of ourselves and our minds, rest a little bit, and, not live in so much anxiety and fear. And that's easy to say. It's easy for me to say because there's not a lot has changed for me. But I like to see the opportunity in situations, and here I see an opportunity to sow even more seeds into our children. And as people working from home, I think it's hard for me to see how the world is going to go back to normal, completely normal after all of this. I think the work at home space is going to become a thing more so than it was before. I think there is a wealth of opportunity there for not only employees but for organizations to save money and resources by having people work from home and just have more flexibility. And I've learned these tips and tricks all over the years, by trial and error, about what works well when you have to manage your life, your job, and your children. And I hope that they are helpful to you. The next thing is, I kind of said this before, but try to get up to date on your technology. Be smart about, the times that you're utilizing for your kids to have a little bit of screen time, because you may have a call or you may have something that you need to attend to. Kind of take advantage of those moments, and then, when that's all over, be sure to kind of check in on what they're learning and, show some interest in their development and what they're doing, and not just put them off to kind of get out of your hair by watching TV or doing whatever. Just try to engage with them, because it's really important that they know that you care. So those are just a few tips that I wanted to share. Take what works and leave what doesn't. This may not work for every single person, but it definitely has worked for me. And I think it was important to put that out there, because we're all trying to navigate this new normal all together, and the goal is to be as successful as possible. The goal is to make sure that we're being as productive as possible, and that we take full advantage of the situation while accepting it for what it is and making the best of it. If you're able to work from home, you are blessed, because so many people have lost their jobs and so many people are living in uncertainty right now. So it's going to be really important that you do your best in this situation. Our children are the most important thing in our lives, and so we want to make sure that we're doing right by them as well, because they deserve an education and they deserve to have a future. And that's what it's all about, securing their future and making sure that we give them the very best that we've got. So thank you for watching. I hope that this was helpful. Please share with your friends. Please like this video, hit that notification button so you know when I post another video, and subscribe to this page if you haven't already. It is a pleasure to spend time with you in this inspired living space where we talk about wealth, wellness, and wholeness. All the tools you'll need to create a life you love. I hope that you're enjoying your life. I hope that you're taking care of yourself. And I hope that you are pursuing your dreams. Until next time.